Okay, we're live. Hello, everybody. It has been quite a while, probably over a month, since I have done a live video. And so I wanted to share something today that I've been talking about a lot over on Instagram. And if you've been following me for any length of time, you know it's one of my most favorite topics. So we're going to be going over hormones and gut, and more specifically, the steps that you can do to start improving in these areas. And if you're like, I have no idea if my symptoms are hormone and gut related in the first place, we're going to talk about that. So, first, just kind of bringing awareness to your symptoms and how they're all connected. And then from there, moving into why they're happening in the first place, some of the common mistakes we see women make when it comes to supporting their digestion and supporting their hormones and just their overall metabolic function. And then we'll go over the 5 steps that you can start with to actually improve. And of course, there's steps to the steps. So it'll be kind of your big picture roadmap or framework, but it'll definitely help put you in the right direction. And then I will also, if we have time, I want to share a little bit of the behind the scenes of the Well Nourished program, which is how we work with clients one-on-one and with group coaching support. And I can show you a little bit more into that if you are interested in just kind of seeing a behind the scenes sort of look at everything. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if you have any questions while I'm going over things, feel free to drop them in the comments. And I will come back and look at them too if you are watching the replay. So we'll try to keep this under 30 minutes, but I want to get right into it. So let me just make sure my screen is shared. Okay. Looks like we're good. I'm going to make this full screen for you. Okay, so let's get into it. 5 steps to improve your gut and hormones, and doing so without restrictive protocols or elimination plans, because I feel like so many of the women who come to me or are really just maybe even unsure about what they need to be doing, they feel like they need to remove all the things, take a ton of supplements, do expensive testing, and not really focus on the things that they're adding in. They're kind of missing the mark on really how to get long-term sustainable results. So that's what I want to talk about. So a lot of the frustrating symptoms that we deal with as women, we're told they're common, but they're certainly not normal. They tie back to hormones and gut health. But what we really want to know is, sorry, looks like there's a little lag. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. But we want to know how do we know actually where to start, right? So there's a lot of things going on. How do we know what to actually focus on or where we can start? And it can feel overwhelming if you have a multitude of symptoms. So who is this for? I'm basically talking to the person who feels like they already eat pretty healthy and they work out, but they don't feel 100%. And they also struggle with low energy. They have bloating and digestive issues. They have period problems, maybe PMS, mood swings, things like that. And they've also been to their doctor because they just don't feel normal. They don't feel great. And they've been told that everything looks fine. So they get some labs done and they're told that everything is okay. And then maybe they're recommended a medication of some sort, antidepressants, or, if they're constipated, it's Miralax, or whatever it is that's going on. It's just kind of a band-aided diagnosis of IBS. And then they're not really given any tools to help with that. If you've tried different supplements and medications, if you've tried elimination diets, or you have tried eliminating carbs or counting calories, some of this comes from a place of wanting to lose weight, but some of it also is rooted in thinking that low carb will fix digestion, low carb will fix period problems. Same thing with elimination diets there. And also, if you're somebody who doesn't want to follow a cookie cutter plan and you actually want to know how to kind of customize things based on your female physiology. So I want to just jump right into talking about hormone symptoms and gut symptoms and what the actual difference is and also where they overlap, because sometimes they can look very similar to one another and the root causes are also very similar. And I'm going to explain why that is. So hormone symptoms are things like PMS, mood swings, heavy periods, irregular cycles. So ideally your cycle, your full cycle from menses up to your next menses is between 25 and 35 days. So as an example, a 25-day cycle would be short, a 40-day cycle would be long. PCOS, whether that's diagnosed or not, maybe you just have a lot of PCOS-like symptoms. So you have acne around the jawline, you have insulin resistance, you have heavy periods, or maybe missing periods altogether, and maybe you were recommended to go on birth control, low libido or no sex drive, infertility or miscarriages, especially within the first trimester, and then endometriosis, which is also overlapping with gut symptoms because endometriosis is a combination of hormone-related symptoms like heavy periods and also digestive issues. And then with gut symptoms, we have constipation, bloating, reflux, gas, a lot of those things that are kind of obvious. Maybe you've been diagnosed with quote unquote IBS, which is basically just an umbrella term for saying that we don't really know what's wrong with your digestion, but you basically are going to struggle with digestive issues the rest of your life. We can figure out why you have IBS for sure. And it usually goes back to some of the things that we'll talk about in future slides. But for a lot of women, it has to do with maybe dysbiosis, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, like SIBO, or just not being able to properly break down your food from mineral deficiencies and being under kind of go, 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 high stress sort of mentality and mode most of your life. And then other overgrowth I mentioned, so SIBO and Candida. And then where's the overlap here? So both gut symptoms and hormone symptoms can show up as things like fatigue, brain fog, lack of hunger. Maybe you wake up in the morning and you don't feel hungry. We actually want to feel hungry. Feeling hungry is a good thing. That's a sign that our body's burning energy. You have cravings, especially for sugar, carbohydrates, salty foods, skin issues of any kind, whether that's acne or rosacea or eczema or psoriasis or just redness around the cheeks and the eyes, headaches and migraines. This can be due to blood sugar imbalances. This can also be due to estrogen dominance, which lays over on this hormone side of things. And it can also be due to food intolerances or food sensitivities, which would lay over here on this gut symptom side. Autoimmune conditions. I mentioned endometriosis also being gut. It's also autoimmune related. Anxiety, so anything related to your mood, anxiety, depression, just inability to handle stressors. And then low moods, depression, again, feeling super lethargic and just kind of unmotivated. So what do all of these things have in common? They are a result of a poor metabolism. And a lot of people will think of metabolism as it relates to their weight, right? So either being skinny or being overweight, but your metabolic function goes so far beyond that. It actually has to do with how well your body uses energy. And when we think about it that way, and we really are not giving our body the materials that it needs to maintain a healthy metabolism, and I'll talk about what those things are, everything starts to slow down. So our hormone production slows down and our digestive function slows down. And that can lead to all of these symptoms, gut-related, metabolism-related, and hormone-related. So the nice thing about all of these things, if you're dealing with more than one, is that they are all related and they have very similar root causes or reasons that they're happening in the first place, which really makes the plan that we would follow to address all of them much, much easier. So what we want to know, and just kind of a question you can ask yourself, is where are these symptoms actually coming from? Why are they happening in the first place? Hormone and gut symptoms are a response to something going on upstream that's causing shifts in the way our metabolism functions. And I know that can seem like a lot. It's kind of trying to figure out, okay, how are hormones and gut and metabolism related? But what happens is your hormones are kind of like the last stop on the train. So if symptoms are showing up, like on the right side of that Venn diagram that I just went over, that's a sign that your body has been dealing with some sort of root cause stressor for a while. And gut symptoms come right before that. So you're dealing with gut symptoms, then you're dealing with hormone symptoms. It's all a downstream effect of dysregulation with your metabolism. And that's because your metabolism is very sensitive to energy inputs and energy outputs, AKA everything we're doing on a daily basis that requires using energy and calories. So this falls into the category of what we eat and how we move and really how we live, because stress uses energy, and going from one thing to the next throughout your day, or even just sitting at your desk and using your brain, requires energy. So essentially, the body needs to feel safe and nourished. And really, that should be the goal with any health approach versus starting with restriction and deprivation and taking things out and doing elimination diets, etc. So considering that, we need to obviously come up with a different approach, because if it doesn't feel safe and nourished, the body and really our metabolism, how much energy it wants to burn on a regular basis, and how well our cells function start to slow down, which means our digestion slows down, and this can lead to constipation and bloating and bacterial overgrowth and low stomach acid, so we're not breaking down our food properly. And our hormone production slows. So we have things like low progesterone, which can lead to anxiety, mood swings, PMS, heavy periods, and a lot of those other symptoms that we covered. So this is why we back up a little bit and we understand that we actually have to support our metabolism first, and we have to nourish our body so it feels safe. That is the goal. And understanding exactly how to do this with nutrition and lifestyle and minerals is what we do inside the Well Nourished program, and what makes it different and more enjoyable and more effective. So really, we just want to keep going back to that nourish over deprivation approach. Otherwise, if you're following a plan that only focuses on gut or only focuses on hormone, it's not going to work long-term, because we're missing that foundational piece upstream of supporting your metabolism and supporting your stress. And so I'm not saying that focusing on gut healing protocol or a hormone balancing protocol is wrong by any means, but it's still just going to be a Band-Aid. And so when we work on things upstream, our gut and our hormones actually start to improve. And then from there, we can fine tune a little bit more and get a little bit more targeted based on our symptoms. So when we work on improving our metabolism with nourishment, everything else starts to improve. The body works together. It's not working in isolation. We can't just look at hormones or just look at digestion or just look at our nervous system. We have to look at all of them together in big picture. So this is the Well Nourished Woman checklist. And if you have my free Well Nourished Woman guide, this might look familiar to you, but I just like to pull it up because it goes to show all the things that are possible for you when your body's functioning in the way that it should. And sadly, we have to kind of emphasize that these things are actually possible and normal for you, because in today's society, it is normal to feel tired, normal to have missing periods and go on birth control. It's normal to feel bloated all the time. But just because all of those things are happening doesn't mean that it is actually normal. And it doesn't mean that it's something that we have to be dealing with. So we should have steady energy all day long. We should fall asleep and stay asleep. Even waking up to pee really is not normal, even though it's super common. We should have strong, healthy hair, skin, and nails. Same with your skin should be clear, acne-free, no redness, rosacea, psoriasis, dry skin, things like that. You can maintain your weight without dieting. You have good digestion without bloating or reflux or indigestion. You shouldn't feel like you have to avoid a ton of foods just to feel good, or you have to take Miralax to have a bowel movement. 1 to 3 bowel movements every single day. This is probably the one that I feel like is most normalized, because doctors will tell you that it's okay if you poop once a week, and that is not okay. That is a sign of poor detox pathways, and we really need to be going to the bathroom every single day. Otherwise, it can lead to a lot of issues related to your hormones and periods and estrogen dominance and inflammation and thyroid issues. I could go on and on. We have to go to the bathroom every day. Your moods are happy and positive for the most part. You have normal periods without PMS. You have warm hands, feet, and nose. You shouldn't feel cold. You shouldn't have to wear a sweater every time you're sitting in a room. That's definitely a sign of a sluggish metabolism and poor thyroid function. You have a strong, healthy libido. Your basal body temperature, which is one of the metabolic markers we use, is between 97.8 and 98.6. You have a strong immune system where if you get sick, you can recover quickly. You recover easily from workouts. You should not feel sore for days afterwards. And also from a relationship standpoint, your thoughts are not consumed by food. So you really shouldn't be thinking about food all the time. You should enjoy it and really use it to nourish your body. So some common mistakes that make gut and hormone issues worse. These are sort of the triggers that make the body feel unsafe in a way. So I have to point these out because a lot of them are recommended on social media and maybe by, doctors and things like that who don't necessarily have a nutrition background and also don't understand the female physiology behind the impact that stress has on our gut and our hormones and our metabolism. So a big one is going too low carb or going too low fat. Both of these are going to disrupt your thyroid hormone production, your sex hormone production, and also can cause more gut issues. So low carb might help in the short term, but long term, it's going to do more damage to your gut bacteria. Taking a bunch of supplements to target one single hormone. So I see this with people trying to take a supplement to maybe lower cortisol or increase progesterone. Not getting adequate animal proteins. So we actually need all of the amino acids from animal proteins for our hormones, for our nervous system, for our skin, for our sex hormones, and also for our moods and neurotransmitters. And so when we're doing something, again, that's more restrictive, and really the theme with all of these is they're going to extremes in some way, but not getting enough animal protein, whether that's intentional or not, this can definitely cause more gut and hormone issues. If you struggle to digest animal proteins, that's a sign you don't have enough stomach acid. Not eating enough consistently. So really for women who are in their reproductive years, this would be anything below 1,900 calories. I see women on 1,600 calories a day. And if that's you, you will continue to struggle with these gut and hormone issues. So we need to make sure that we're carving out time and being intentional with our meals during the day when our body is awake and when the sun is up and when we're most active. Intermittent fasting long-term. So you're every single day waking up and waiting until 1 p.m. to have lunch. This is a huge stress on the body. Combine that with a workout and coffee and maybe not eating enough throughout the day, maybe not sleeping well. That is layers upon layers of stress. And that can often be a huge trigger for these digestive issues and hormone issues to actually start showing up. We also see women start to get more and more hypothyroid and just also have more of a disordered relationship with food. If you're just cutting out foods, so you're not really focusing on what to add in, but you're eliminating all dairy, soy, gluten, maybe it's, carbohydrates or fat or a macronutrient, nightshades, FODMAPs, whatever it is, you're just cutting them out and not focusing on what to add in, then this is still going to be stressful for the body. You're still going to have mineral deficiencies and the things that are causing these issues in the first place. Doing lots of cardio and boot camp style classes. Again, we do this kind of from a societal standpoint. We think we have to be fit, but also in order to lose weight. But really what helps with fat loss is building muscle. And then just not enough movement throughout the day. So maybe you do a workout, but then you sit all day long, or you go for a run and then you sit all day long. And also not doing enough weight training with actual heavy weights. I'm not talking about like 10 and 12 pound dumbbells. I mean actual weight training with progressive overload. So the triggers for hormone and gut symptoms are very similar, and that's why it makes sense to experience this cluster of symptoms all at once. You might experience constipation and PMS, and that's super common, and we see it all the time. And that's because these are kind of the main triggers for hormone and gut issues. So stress, and really figuring out what that stress looks like for you where it's coming from, what it looks like in your day-to-day, because sometimes we don't even realize it. It could also be past stressors or present stressors. So we could look back 5, 10, 15 years, how the stress has accumulated over time, or we can look at what's going on in your present day-to-day and your week. Inflammation, this can be coming from food sources, from lifestyle habits like not getting enough sleep. It could be coming from inflammatory ingredients in your food or your personal care products. Lots of different areas inflammation can come from. It can also come from gut issues. So it's kind of the chicken and the egg there. Depleted nutrients, especially minerals. This is why we run hair tissue mineral analysis testing with our clients to see what minerals are low and causing more stress on the body. So things like magnesium and calcium and potassium and sodium. And then blood sugar imbalances. So if you're riding the blood sugar roller coaster, highs and lows all day long without realizing it, and we see this a lot with women who are maybe snacking and grazing, eating, 6 small frequent meals, or they're imbalanced with their macronutrients, so their protein to carb ratio, they're not eating enough fat, things like that, or they have mineral deficiencies that can lead to blood sugar imbalances no matter how healthy they're eating. That's another huge trigger. So I mentioned kind of chicken and the egg, and it really does go back and forth often because gut issues can influence hormones. So I use the example of chronic constipation leading to excess estrogen and PMS. And then also hormones can influence gut issues. So if you have high cortisol or low cortisol, this can lead to suppressing your stomach acid, which can lead to more bloating, cramping, constipation, and other digestive symptoms. So it goes both ways, which is why, again, we can't look at things in isolation. But at the tippy top here is going to be supporting metabolic function. When the metabolism improves, your gut and your hormones improve. So this is what I call the perfect storm scenario. And I just want to see if you can relate to this at all. This is really what the picture of causing a downregulation of metabolism, conserving energy, and then having those hormones combined with gut issues. So it starts with this energy imbalance where we're under-eating and over-exercising. This can be intentional or unintentional. We're never really taught how much we should be eating, especially as full-grown adult females. We don't learn it from anywhere. We don't see it, modeled very well. And so that's something that a lot of people miss. If you're somebody who's always striving for more, you're very type A perfectionist, go, 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 always have to be doing something. Maybe you take appointments on the go. If you have 10 minutes of extra time, you fill it with something to do. Always striving to do more, do better. That's one of the characteristics that we fall into, or we fit into this perfect storm scenario, because it is also one of the most common personality types, if you will, that we see associated with gut and hormone issues. We rarely see somebody somebody who's following a complete standard American diet will still have gut and hormone issues, but they just might not, care quite as much, or they might have other things going on, so they're not paying attention to it. But it's usually the woman who is trying their best to be healthy, and so they are more type A perfectionist. Low stomach acid, so I mentioned that. So physiologically, we're not producing enough stomach acid, which can lead to heartburn first and foremost, and then also bloating and constipation. Low stomach acid happens whenever your body is under stress, whether that's from sitting in traffic or eating standing up or not eating enough during the day or just being in that constant fight or flight mode. If you've dieted and you've lost weight and then maybe you gained it back, this is actually really taxing on the gallbladder as well. And so we'll actually struggle to digest fat whenever we put that weight back on. And also, if you are approaching burnout, so you feel like you're burning the candles at both ends and you can tell that you are basically running on empty, but you feel like you have to go, go, go anyways, because there are things and people to take care of. So I'm not going to go through all of these for time's sake, but I do have an Instagram post that goes over kind of the 3 most common scenarios. We have the stress cadet, so that type A perfectionist who's always on the go. Maybe they're even really active for their job. So a trainer, a nurse, a teacher, they're always kind of standing up and interacting with other people. They also go down kind of some Google rabbit holes when it comes to researching health information. And they're really diligent about tracking calories and portion sizes and making sure that they maintain their body weight, or if they can't, they really stress out about maybe gaining weight. Then we have the picture of quote unquote fitness. And I use that in quotations because by definition, fitness is the body's ability to reproduce. So if you're not getting a period, then that would not be an indicator of fitness. But if you're always dieting and eating clean, 6 small meals a day, I kind of think of like the bodybuilder picture here, focusing on low calorie and low fat meals, lots of chicken breast and fiber, exercising no matter what, and doing lots of exercise. And you might even be super lean, or you have lost weight in the past, even if you're not currently at a low body fat. So these scenarios can lead to a downregulation of thyroid hormones, dysregulated blood sugar, low stomach acid, low hormone production, inflammation, and nutrient deficiencies. All of these are triggers for gut and hormone symptoms. And I always like to use this graph just to point out that hormones influence one another. They really do work together. So if you're just trying to work on improving your periods with a progesterone supplement or cream, but you're skipping the top of the pyramid here with balancing blood sugar, then it's going to be much harder to achieve this down here. So we also have to consider that in order to improve thyroid hormones, we actually have to work on balancing cortisol. So we have to look at all of these together. And I hear this all the time. I've tried everything and nothing works. And hopefully you understand now that just doing everything in terms of restriction and extremes and eating clean and exercising actually isn't going to work for you. There's a reason for that. And so what we want to approach instead is nourishing our body with minerals and eating enough and doing the right type of exercise. And of course, focusing on the lifestyle factors too that help to build stress resilience in the body, like sleep as an example, getting sunlight, things like that. So the 5 steps to support your hormones and gut, this is the good stuff here. We have replenish nutrients, fuel your metabolism, and we know now why that's important and how that trickles down into everything else that requires energy in your body. Honoring your hormones and actually understanding what's going on with them cyclically. Nourishing your gut, and then lowering stress load. And here we're not talking about just eliminating all stress. We're actually talking about getting rid of stress where it's not necessary and then adding in stress resilience tools. So replenishing nutrients involves increasing micronutrient dense foods, aka vitamins and minerals, which isn't going to be chicken and turkey breast and broccoli. We give you ideas for really nutrient dense foods and what that looks like in a typical day in a way that feels realistic inside Well Nourished. So it's all laid out for you. Increasing your macronutrient intake. So we're not doing low carb, low fat, or low protein. We want to get the right balance of all 3 of them. And also avoiding chronic dieting and under eating. So getting clear on what your calorie sweet spot is and how to make sure you're eating enough based on your activity levels. Fueling your metabolism is the second step. So this involves balancing your blood sugar, and this helps to lower stress on the body in itself. But doing what it requires to balance blood sugar and getting really clear on what that looks like, even beyond just food. So making sure you're not skipping meals. We want to look at eating enough consistently and really having that predictable, consistent meal time. And on that note, also not eating small, frequent meals because that can keep you on the blood sugar roller coaster. Mastering meal timing, that's a big one and something that we go over more in Well Nourished. And then getting adequate protein. We recommend starting with 30 grams per meal and getting it from good quality sources. Honoring your hormones. So we teach you how to track with basal body temperature. This is actually a great way to also measure the health of your thyroid. And even if your thyroid labs look normal, we still want to look at basal body temperature because those labs are only showing your thyroid on a glandular level, and we want to look at your thyroid on a cellular level. So we can do that with basal body temperature. Again, making sure that's above 97.5. Understanding the 4 different phases of your cycle and getting really clear on how to support your body within each phase. And also cycle syncing with nutrition and movement. So you're essentially doing very similar things day in and day out, but there are slight tweaks you can make. For example, in your luteal phase, when you would normally experience more PMS, we need to be eating slightly more calories in general. So around 200 to 300 extra calories because your metabolic rate is increasing from that additional progesterone production. Nourishing your gut. So this is where we get into meal hygiene, how to actually get in a rest and digest state, how to support stomach acid, which doing this alone with some really key supplements and strategies can help to get rid of bloating, diarrhea, any dysbiosis or, IBS sort of symptoms you might have. And also doing targeted supplements, adding in specific foods, adding in minerals as well. And minerals really overlaps into all of these steps, but it can really help with digestion and gut as well. And then lowering your stress load. So adding in minerals, especially sodium, potassium, and magnesium, making sure you're getting the right type of movement throughout the day. More is not better. Doing light exposure, so making sure you get sunlight in the morning and you're limiting blue lights at night, especially TV before bed. And having a really good sleep schedule and evening routine. Also, if you have not, I want to give you this free download. I'll put it in the comments, but this is a metabolism hormone assessment. So if you want to actually go through all of the different metabolic markers to kind of see where you're at right now, and if you really are rating all of these poorly, then I definitely recommend following these steps and even reaching out if you need more support. So speaking of, if you want more support and you want the step-by-step strategy to improve your metabolism and hormones and digestion all together, focusing on the whole body, so that you can see improvements in these symptoms. And we can talk more about what these symptoms look like specifically for you. But this is really what we help clients do inside Well Nourished, which is a 12-week program that combines one-on-one support with me, customization, and then we also have group coaching calls. And we also have on-demand resources, video lessons, downloads, checklists, things like that, that you can do in between our sessions. So you're still able to make progress even without us chatting one-on-one. So that's really helpful just for getting more long-term results. And we find that whenever women actually learn why they're doing what they're doing, they're able to see more long-term sustainable results. And they don't feel like their symptoms are mysterious. They feel very confident and empowered in what to eat. And not only that, but just how to nourish their body. If any symptoms do come up, like maybe headaches or cravings or sleep issues or a period that came a little bit early or a little bit late or bloating and cramping, they know why it's happening. They know what to do about it because we don't live in a bubble and things won't always be perfect. But the difference between women who are struggling with their health and women who actually feel in control and empowered and confident in their health are the ones that can actually understand where their symptoms are coming from and how to make adjustments based on those symptoms coming up. Easily being able to tie it back to, your sleep or your sunlight or how quickly you ate something. It's very empowering and very helpful. So I want to quickly, while we have a couple more minutes, just show you a little bit of behind the scenes of what Well Nourished looks like. And so we use Practice Better. This is the online portal. And essentially we have this sort of curriculum built out for you. And I say curriculum, it's not really school. You're basically reading, learning, taking notes, and also getting a lot of the cheat sheets that will help you figure out what you want to implement. So some of them have video lessons in them. For example, we have this biofeedback and metabolism tracker. And this will help you actually track what matters and pay attention to what to measure to see progress. And so with this, there's a video lesson. And then you also have this metabolism and biofeedback tracker that you can download, you can print out, you can save it to your computer, and you can use it in that way. We have an entire section on fueling your metabolism and hormones. So the nourishing food principles, understanding these will give you a lot of clarity on what to do, what not to do. So you're never questioning, like, is this food good for me? Is this food not good for me? That type of thing. We do a lot of customization too around nutrition for blood sugar balance, your macronutrients and meal timing, and also hydration and, of course, minerals. We do food mood journal reviews as well. So if you're logging in the food mood journal and you want feedback from me, I will record feedback and share that with you so you have my eyes on your stuff. We have an entire section for digestion and gut health where you're actually evaluating your digestion to get closer and kind of pinpointing the root cause. And that'll help you understand more of what you need to support. We also have recommendations for supporting your digestive function, for easy to digest foods if you do need more of those, because for women who are in a higher state of stress, they need some of those foods that are easier to digest. And also how to make foods more gut friendly. So if there's something you love eating, but it doesn't love you back, we show you how to make those foods more gut friendly. And then understanding and honoring your cycle. This is where we get into understanding the phases of your menstrual cycle and the luteal phase support, which is one of my favorites because we really go over how to eliminate PMS by supporting progesterone, which if that means nothing to you right now, you will learn that inside the program. And then we have this PMS toolkit that really gives you the supplements and the nutrition and the lifestyle recommendations for what to focus on in the weeks leading up to your period. And then on your period, if you are still having issues, you can use a lot of those resources. So we get into so many things, obviously, movement, circadian rhythms and sleep, stress resilience. And then you have biweekly coaching calls with me too. So if questions do come up while you're going through stuff, you can either message me through Practice Better, or you can bring them to the group coaching calls and get them answered there. And it also helps everybody else too. They all benefit from it. So that's nice. But I just wanted to show that with you, a little bit of behind the scenes. So if you're interested, the program is by application. We just want to make sure that it's a good fit for you. So you're not signing up and then we realize, oh, it actually won't help you at all because you need to, work on this, or we need to refer you to somebody else. But if from what I talked about in this Facebook Live, you're like, okay, these are the issues I'm dealing with, and I feel like I need to take the next step, then don't hesitate to apply. And we do offer for anybody who wants to register. So you apply and then you join within the next 24 hours of applying. We include that HTMA test with your registration for free. And then we go over that together whenever we're actually doing the onboarding call and customizing your plan. So I will drop the link to actually apply for Well Nourished. And if you have any questions, of course, don't hesitate to message me here, or you can DM me on Instagram if you follow me there, or email me is also a great way to connect and reach out. So I hope this was helpful for you. And if there are any other topics that you want me to cover in the future, definitely let me know. And I'm happy to talk more about anything around women's health here. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.